Oh, man.
We finally get to talk about college football. Oh, I'm excited. It's championship week, baby. Let's get into it.
Here we go. We still have 10 more seconds left.
Ladies and gentlemen, y'all already know we're back with another episode of the one and only Allied Rivals Podcast. I'm your man, A.J. Herschel, also known as The Kid. And you already know I'm here with my brother, Caedmon Bauer. How's it going, man? Good to see you, as always.
Yeah, good to see you too, AJ. I've just been doing, I've been getting out of school early the past few days because it's finals week.
Nice, okay.
Huge plus, so I get home around 11:45 every day, which is so nice.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm just enjoying sports and enjoying the Packers being the 1 seed as long as be the 1 seed. I don't know if it'll last.
You'll see.
The Saints do play the Titans, so that is nice.
Mm-hmm. And they have to play the Chiefs too, so do not have an easy schedule. Plus, I know you're excited. It finally happened yesterday. Your boy Giannis signed the extension. You've got to be happy about that.
Oh, man, that's like the biggest move in all of the NBA as far as I'm concerned right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, oh, man, that's such a relief to know that Giannis is going to be with the Bucks for a long time. And, that's going to be great. I mean, preseason games, as I said, don't tell me much. But if there's one thing I've seen in the preseason is that Drew Holiday definitely knows how to assist Giannis, which is a really nice thing. And I've noticed that with a few guys on the Nets, too. They're looking scary. But I'm just really happy and really relieved that Giannis is going to be with the Bucks for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yep, 5 more years. 5 more years. That's exciting. That's exciting. Unfortunately, my sports week has not been nearly as exciting as yours has. Really not much to go over. I'm trying not to be overly optimistic, but I do know that if the Bears beat the Vikings this week, we are the first team out of the playoffs, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because on the one hand, I'm like, oh, great, we're in a position to actually make it. On the other hand, I'm like, great, we have to go play the Rams if we get the 7 seed. So that's exciting. But I am excited to talk about college football with you. We haven't done a dedicated episode yet, so I'm super excited to finally get it done. Oh, let's do it. Also, everyone, I just want to apologize really fast. We had some scheduling issues today, so I know the episode was originally planned for like 5, and then it got pushed back and back. So thank you guys so much for here watching this live. Thank you for tuning in. As usual, be sure to check out the rest of our Allied Rivals shorts as well. Quick 5-minute opinionated videos on various sports questions. I got a playlist of those. One of those has over 200 views, and we're over 70 subscribers. Maybe we get a Christmas present and it maybe hit like 90. Let's not hit 100 yet, maybe. I don't want to get a little too overeager, but I'm excited. We finally get to talk about some college football. Caedmon, it has been 15 weeks of college football between COVID and between everything else that has been going on. Teams not playing, starting late, lawsuits from Nebraska. It has been a rough ride, but we're finally here. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm definitely ready. And even though Wisconsin is not there, it's still a very exciting time of the year. Let's get into it.
Very true. This Saturday is, of course, college football championship weekend, where you either get relegated to being mocked by your rival school for another 9 months, or you get bragging rights not only for your conference, but possibly the college football playoff. It's only fitting we start out with the one that doesn't matter. Oregon versus number 13 USC.
Let's go.
Is the Pac-12 championship. So this game is going to happen. Anything you want to say there, Caedmon? Any predictions, any thoughts on that?
Even though USC has a ranking of 13 and Oregon isn't ranked in the top 25. There is honestly not a huge difference between these teams. So I mean, the only really big difference I see is that USC has a lot more pass yards a game, and Oregon has a ton more run yards a game. Their defense stats are pretty similar, so I'm kind of looking for a boring game for this one. How about you, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Pac-12, so there's probably not going to be much defense in the entire game. But USC is undefeated. To be fair, they have had a much easier schedule than a lot of other conference opponents. They had just made a great comeback against UCLA. And to be fair, Oregon technically shouldn't even be here. They should have played Washington last week to determine who was going. But now Oregon's going to get in. Washington is declared. They haven't played enough games to be able to make it to the Pac-12 championship. I think this one's going to go to USC. They're undefeated. Oregon, I just do not see them winning. They dropped games to both California and Oregon State back to back. I think they're probably going to go on a 3-game losing streak to end the season. And then, of course, USC going to make a New Year's Six bowl probably because of that Pac-12 slot. But, not expecting big things from this game. The other one that doesn't matter quite as much, but still interesting to watch, is the AAC championship. And for people who are still living in 1995 and think there's a big East, yes, there is an AAC, the American Athletic Conference. And despite UCF fans still saying they're the national championship, they're the national champions of 2016. Officially, there has never been an AAC or group of 5 team for that matter in the championship. Caedmon, Cincinnati, technically speaking, Cincinnati has gone undefeated. 8-0, 6-0 in conference play, and they're going up against Tulsa. Do you think Tulsa's got a shot? Cincinnati is kind of rolled over most teams.
Yeah, Cincinnati's offense has looked really good, and their defense has held up enough and has been good enough that even if their offense was doing bad, it wouldn't matter. I'm kind of agreeing with you, AJ. I think they're probably going to roll over Tulsa nicely. Flatten it.
Yeah, Tulsa did, to be fair, have a tougher out-of-conference schedule between, I think Cincinnati had Army and then Austin P. And then Tulsa got knocked with Oklahoma State. Granted, Tulsa has kind of knocked off basically every team they've played, but I don't see Cincinnati dropping this. I think they're going to finish their season 9-0. I think if they do win this, they automatically get slotted into one of those New Year's Six bowls. Along with, to be fair, we're not going to talk about this one as much because we got a bunch of other games that are a lot more interesting, but Coastal Carolina is undefeated, and that is absolutely crazy to me. And they're going to be going up against LA Lafayette as well. So depending on what happens, Coastal Carolina, to be fair, congratulations. They knocked off BYU and proved something we all knew was true, that BYU had the easiest schedule in the history of college football. Thank you, Coastal Carolina, for exposing that. But I think if Cincinnati loses this game and Coastal Carolina wins, I think they get that New Year's Six game. Maybe both of them get one, but I think they get that New Year's Six game ahead of Cincinnati because the Chanticleers will be 12-0. How could you not put them in? But I see Cincinnati winning this one, and I see them getting that New Year's Six bowl berth as well.
Yeah, Cincinnati's looking really good, especially on their run game, I'd like to point out. And Tulsa's run defense isn't spectacular, so that's probably the ball will probably be on the ground most of the game, I'm guessing.
Very true. Very true. Now we get into the Big Four. I know it's a Power 5 conference, but the Pac-12 forgot that football was supposed to happen for about 3 months. So the Power 4 conferences.
Here we go.
Caedmon, SEC, Big 10, ACC, Big 12. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the SEC.
SEC. My conference. I love it. You love it. We all love it. And yes, it's the best one. But Alabama coming in at a solid number 1, undefeated. Mac Jones, Najee Harris, and they're just, oh my goodness, just the absolutely incredible wide receiver who can also punt return, Devonta Smith. This is the number 1 ranked team in the nation for a reason. And they're going to be going up against number 7 Florida, who just dropped a game to LSU because of an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for a thrown cleat and a 57-yard field goal from Louisiana State. Goodness. I'm going to be honest. And this is not the Georgia fan bias in me talking, because I'll be so happy to see Bama win. Because look, yeah, we got beat by Bama, sure, but I hate Florida. So I want Bama to win, but at the same time, I don't see them losing at all. I think Bama's going to roll. What do you think, Caedmon?
Yeah, honestly, it doesn't matter how they do it. Alabama just always finds a way to score that 50 points pretty much every game. And that's just how they dominate teams. They do it on the defensive side and offensive side. And they don't make the critical mistakes as much as a lot of the other teams do, which come down to like the game-winning field goals like you talked about, which are very rare. But Alabama's just a really great team. It's built it's become a legend through its football, and they just keep building it. It just keeps getting better and better. I don't see them losing this thing, even though Florida has like the second best passing attack in all of college football. I don't know who that's second to, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Alabama's just too good.
Yeah. Alabama is the best team in the nation for a reason. Mac Jones is not only increasing his draft stock, but absolutely being insane. This is without Jalen Waddle. Let's keep in mind, Alabama has not let up 20 points ever since October 17th, and that was against my Georgia Bulldogs, and that game hurt to watch. But they have not let up any more points since. They have just been absolutely rolling, 40 points or more in every game this season. Every game this season, with the exception of Alabama, Missouri. This team is absolutely insanely good, and Kyle Trask is a very good football player. Let that be said. Kyle Trask is a very good quarterback. His Heisman hopes probably have completely died out, but Mac Jones, absolutely incredible quarterback. Devonta Smith, one of the most talented wide receivers out there, and then Najee Harris has some of the best vision I've ever seen from a college football running back. He is absolutely incredible. I know Florida's going to come out hard. I know they're going to come out really hungry for a win, but this is Nick Saban we're talking about, and Alabama, in my opinion, is just too powerful on offense, too powerful on defense. I think they roll in the SEC championship. I think they roll to the CFP, and they roll to that number 1 spot in the regular season. Caedmon, any disagreement there?
No disagreement. I was just wondering, since both of these teams are big second half teams, AJ, what do you think what do you think this whole game is going to look like as far as scoring?
I think Alabama's going to jump out early. Alabama has been a second half team, but a lot of their points in recent games have come in the second quarter. They put up 14 against Auburn in the second quarter. Then against LSU, I think it was 24 they put up in that quarter. And then they just absolutely rolled over Arkansas in all 4 quarters. I think Bama's going to jump out to an early lead. Kyle Trask, I think he's going to get himself 1 or 2 touchdowns early. But Nick Saban is one of the best coaches in college football history for a reason. And I think in the second half, it's just going to be an utter shutdown of Florida's offense.
Yeah, I think one more thing to add is that Alabama just has an amazing special teams unit. And so they constantly give Harris or like whoever just excellent field position.
Yeah.
And they rarely have to punt it, but so they're just basically unstoppable. Yeah, I see Alabama winning this thing.
There we go.
I think over 2 scores. I think a 3-score game.
I hope so. That'd be great. Yeah. I would love that. Now, this does bring up a little bit of a predicament, however, because if we all look at the college football playoff rankings as they stand currently, Bama's number 1, then you've got Notre Dame, Clemson, and then number 4 is Ohio State. But then you hit number 5, and that's where Texas A&M comes into play. And we're going to have a loser in the ACC title game between number 2 Clemson and number 3 Notre Dame. Caedmon, is there any hope for Texas A&M to make it into the playoffs? They've only had 1 loss, and it was an absolute demolition from Alabama, 52-24. Do you see any chance of A&M getting into the CFP?
See, it's hard because Alabama, I mean, you lose to Alabama, great. Everyone loses to Alabama. And you're ranked behind those first few other slots under Alabama are just tight, packed so tightly. Like you could really flip any of those around and it would work. So you could have Clemson as number 2. You could have Ohio State as number 3. You could put Texas A&M as number 4 and move like Clemson up to 5 or something. Those ones are pretty movable, honestly. I mean, there are differences, but like you said, Notre Dame or Clemson, one of them's going to lose. But you're losing to the team that is I don't know how to explain it. You're losing to like the other best team besides Alabama. So I'm not sure how that'll hurt their rankings very much. I mean, obviously, I think Ohio State's going to come away with a nice game against Northwestern, so they'll probably stay at number 4, maybe even bump up to number 3, just depending on, like, say Notre Dame whoops Clemson. Then I think then Clemson does move down a spot or 2, and Ohio State moves up. But I think the winner of that game maybe moves to number 2. So Notre Dame wins it, they stay. Clemson stays if it's a close game. I don't think Texas A&M will get in the playoffs unless there is a huge blowout win in Notre Dame versus Clemson.
Yep, I think I completely agree. Brett D in the comment section, what's up, my man? Says Texas A&M won't make it, to be honest. I doubt it. There's like a long, I think I'm with you guys. There's a long list of stuff that needs to happen. I think they would need Florida to upset Alabama. And we've seen before, in Alabama, I think they've locked their spot. Undefeated, even if they lose to Florida. I think this is reminiscent of how back in 2016-17 season, Ohio State dropped a game, didn't go to the championship, but they still got in with an 11-1 record over Penn State because they were a 2-loss team. 2-loss teams really don't ever make it into the college football playoff, as in it's never happened. And I know A&M has 1 loss, but I think they would need Clemson and Bama to lose for them to get in. So I do not see A&M losing either. We already got a comment from Brett D on the next one. So Caedmon, you think we hit up the ACC championship?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Let's do it. Brett D says Clemson with Trevor Lawrence is better than Notre Dame. And this is I don't watch a lot of ACC. I'll be honest. Why? Because it's basically Clemson and Notre Dame joined just for this year. So it's not that fun to watch because every game is a blowout. But the last time Notre Dame and Clemson played, sparks flew overtime, 40-47, and that was without Trevor Lawrence. Now you've got the projected number 1 draft pick coming back for Clemson, missed round 1 because of a COVID test, and he's back, and Clemson wants that title for the ACC. Caedmon, what do you think is going to happen when number 2 and number 3 collide in the ACC championship? Probably brought to you by Dr. Pepper.
So obviously Trevor Lawrence and just the Clemson's points per game and their pass yards per game is really spectacular. But then you're looking at Notre Dame, who hasn't let up all that many points. And yeah, their running game. Well, okay, let's just analyze this. Notre Dame's running game is great. And then you have Clemson's receiving game, which is great. And the problem is I think there's going to be like a somewhat low scoring game because Notre Dame has a great pass rush and a decent pass defense. And Clemson has a good enough run defense that they should be able to keep up with Notre Dame. So, I mean, this may not be low scoring, but this is going to be a really tight matchup, I'm guessing, unless somehow Trevor Lawrence can do something that we have never seen him do before, which certainly could happen, or Williams, running back for Notre Dame, could have like a 200-yard game. I don't know. AJ, I think this is going to be a really tight game. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be high scoring. I mean, this game had a combined 87 points in their first matchup, and that was with Clemson's backup QB. Both of these teams are so good. I think this is reminiscent of, remember how we saw Ravens-Browns earlier this year? A couple years ago, we got to see Chiefs versus Rams. I think it's going to be one of those where the offenses are both so good. Kyron Williams is so good. Ian Book, very efficient. Trevor Lawrence, obviously one of the best in the game. Travis Etienne, he doesn't get as many carries as other running backs because Clemson doesn't need him, but he's still a very, very smart, very, very efficient receiver. I think this is going to be high scoring. It's going to be a shootout. These offenses are way too good to be held down. I do think Clemson is going to take this game. And granted, if I'm the ACC commissioner, I want Clemson to take the game because now, more than likely, you've got two ACC teams in the college football playoff. They're both one loss. Clemson's going to have to get in because they're the ACC champion, and Notre Dame is probably definitely better than Texas A&M. So if I'm the commissioner of the ACC, I want Clemson to get in because it's good for our conference. I think Clemson is going to take it. It's going to be high scoring. I think Trevor Lawrence is really going to be the difference maker. If you can put up 40 in double overtime against Notre Dame with your backup, I'm scared to see what the number one draft prospect Trevor Lawrence is going to do in this ACC championship. I will absolutely be watching it. It should be an exciting game.
Yeah, see, I mean, I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as you think. I think there'll still be enough scoring, but not as much as your regular college football game. Just because both of the teams also have really good defenses. And I think they both have really good coaches. And they've been preparing for this game for who knows how long.
Yeah.
I think both of these defenses realize we do nothing and let our offense play the whole game. But I don't think they want to, and I think they're going to be able to stick with them fairly well.
I don't know. I think I'm going to be honest. I think the numbers are kind of skewed on their defense just because Notre Dame and Clemson are so far above the rest of the ACC competition that it's not even close. Miami has no defense. UNC is just so inconsistent. And then after that, I mean, you might as well just throw all those names into a hat between NC State, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh. All of them are just so much farther inadequately than Dabo Swinney's Clemson and Notre Dame. So I think finally when we get to see these two high-powered offenses, I think it will be high scoring because really they haven't faced anybody like them except them back a couple weeks ago. But it's going to be fun to watch. I think that is the one thing that's absolutely going to be.
I think it's probably going to be the best game.
Yep.
Hey, we got Porter Drinks here in the comments section. Wisconsin Badgers, baby. Like this guy. He says he should have played the first game around. Lawrence was fine. It was stupid. He was on the sideline but could not play.
Hey, that's the COVID test. You got to wait 2 weeks. It happens. Yeah, and he brings up exactly Notre Dame fans are like, we won, but we went to double overtime with a team missing the best quarterback in the country and half of its D gone. Clemson wins big this weekend. Porter Drinks with the prediction. Very interesting.
I could see that happening, honestly, because I think that Trevor Lawrence can probably demolish Notre Dame's defense. And my guess is that Notre Dame's run game can't demolish Clemson.
Yeah, I agree. Now, before we hit our last one, which I know has got teams that we care about as well, Iowa State versus Oklahoma is our Big 12 championship. And I will just say the Big 12 has been absolutely hilarious to watch this year. It's crazy. 1 minute, Oklahoma's the top seed. Then they drop a game. Then it's Texas. Then they drop to Oklahoma. Then it's Oklahoma State. Then they lose 3 games. And Iowa State. Iowa State is in the.
Is it for real?
6. They're number 6.
I know.
I can't
believe.
Are they
for real?
It's crazy. They're going to go to the Big 12 championship. So I've got 2 questions here, but we'll start with this one. First off, who do you think wins? Do you think it comes down to, do you think Iowa State's going to take it, or do you think freshman Spencer Rattler out of Oklahoma is going to win this game?
I think that Oklahoma will win this.
I
think
Interesting.
So. Just because they have a crazy good passing attack, really good at getting in the end zone, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a close game. Iowa State has a very balanced offense. Brock Purdy is very good throwing the football, and they just have a bunch of people who can run it in. Breece Hall's very good. He's definitely their main down back. Oklahoma, this is what Spencer Rattler looks like as a freshman in college. I'm scared to see what he looks like by the time he becomes a senior. Oklahoma has had a really weird path to this championship, dropping a game against Iowa State earlier in the year, 37-30. And then, I don't know, I just felt like Oklahoma's offense and team was just kind of deflated after that. They dropped a game to Kansas State early in the season, so they dropped 2 back-to-back. I think Iowa State in round 2 might be able to pull this one out. I think it's going to be close. Porter Drake says Iowa State overrated at 6. I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah. I would think I would agree with you there. But they do have a great offense. I think Iowa State should be able to win round 2, but I won't be surprised if Oklahoma and Spencer Rattler pull it out, coming on just a great, I think it's a 6-game win streak right now. But even more importantly than that, Caedmon, let's say Iowa State wins this. They're ranked number 6. Ooh. Let's say Oklahoma even wins this. They're ranked number 10. Whoever wins, do they have a shot of making it into the CFP? Because at that point, they will be a conference champion. Do you think there's a chance they get in?
No, I don't think so. Because we were just talking about A&M. Okay, we pretty much know Alabama's going to be there.
Yeah,
right?
Alabama's going to be there, win or loss. Yeah,
Notre Dame or Clemson going to be there, right? And unless Ohio State loses to Northwestern,
which
Ohio
I hope
State
they do.
Which I hope Ohio State whoops Northwestern. That would be so nice.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't.
Big blowout win.
I don't see either Iowa State or Oklahoma making it. I really don't. But we get to the Big Ten championship, and this is a big one. Ohio State. Very controversial decision. Our man Porter Drinks, he's a big Indiana fan. Go Hoosiers over here. Says they got cheated out big time, should be in the Big Ten championship game. And while that may definitely be true, number 4 versus number 14. I love Northwestern. I love them to death. I love Pat Fitzgerald, but I am deathly scared going up against Justin Fields this week. For my boys in purple. What do you think, Caedmon?
Yeah, I mean, we all know Ohio State has an incredible passing game, which makes up and running game for that matter. They have actually statistically a better running game compared to all the other teams than a passing game. This is the best offense in all of college football.
Over Bama, you think so?
Maybe second to Bama. I don't know. They just dominate everywhere. I mean, they're 11th in rushing, 25th in pass yards a game, 4th in points per game. And they may not smack it in the red zone as much as Bama, but they are like the team that no defense can stop, honestly, just because, I mean, in the red zone maybe, but other than that, you don't want to be Northwestern right now, because even though you have a great defense and locked down Wisconsin and multiple other teams, which I'm really sad about, to sub 10 points or sub 20 points, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold up because even though their defense is great, their offense hasn't shown to be anything too special.
Mm-hmm.
You have, a pretty good run game, but your pass game isn't great. Ramsey just hasn't been able to do a ton. Yeah. Because, here's the problem, though. He doesn't have an amazing wide receiver or the amazing offensive line, which Ohio State does have. So you look at Ohio State, and one wide receiver has as many pass yards as receiving yards as Ramsey has pass yards. So I think that's part of the problem with Northwestern, not all in the QB, but I think Ohio State's going to score big in this one, honestly.
Yeah. As much as I hate to say it, I think that as much as I hate to say it, I think Ohio State's probably going to win. Northwestern is a very good defense. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, they're also in the much, much easier section of the Big Ten. Big Ten East, you've got Ohio State, Indiana, and Penn State still plays people tough, even though they kind of forgot that they were supposed to win a championship this year. Big Ten West, what do you got? Iowa, Wisconsin. These are teams that middle around, 15 to 17 in the CFP rankings. Northwestern, Peyton Ramsey is not bad, but he doesn't have a great receiving core. Our running game finally got going against Illinois, which I had no idea why we weren't running the football more to begin with, but okay, now we are. I like our running game a lot. Cam Porter and Evan Hall came up big, but it was against a broken down Northwestern team that has never competed well in the Big Ten, with the exception of making a bowl game with 6 wins last year. Notre Dame, they're going to make a decent bowl game. They're going to play well, but unless a miracle happens, I don't think Pat Fitzgerald's boys are going to bring it out. And to be fair to Ohio State, and I know our man Porter Drinks was a big Indiana fan and thinks says they got cheated out. They kind of did. My only thing for Ohio State is it was never their fault the games were canceled. It was Michigan's fault that the games was canceled. It was a whole bunch of other things. That's why I think that they were. That's why I think that they were admitted to be in. If it was their fault for COVID protocols, they would have gone out. But it was all the other teams that caused them, and the win over Indiana. Stars align if you're Ohio State. Plus, if you're the Big Ten, that's the best chance that you have making it into the CFP, because Notre Dame and Indiana sure ain't going to make it. So I love Northwestern, but I really don't see it happening. Porter Drinks, Wisconsin will be back next year. They had so many games canceled. They had no consistency. Granted, that is very true. They did have a significant amount of games canceled this year. And I think they played Minnesota. I think they rescheduled one of their games to this week, if I'm not incorrect. If I'm a Northwestern fan, at least I'm happy we swept Big Ten West this year. We got our division. We went undefeated there, but that Michigan State game, man, that's going to hurt. Sebastian Cornwell is in our comment section. Can you give any confident games this week? Please help to cover the spread. I'm not a betting guy. Are you, Caedmon?
No, I'm not.
Not really. All right. I would trust your man Porter Drinks. He's got you covered in the comment section. He's got you covered over there. So, Caedmon, last question. Championship week. Sunday is the selection show. What 4 teams are you putting in to the college football playoff?
I'm putting in Alabama, which I'm sure you all would agree. I hope you all agree. I'm putting in Notre Dame as my number 3, Clemson as the 2, and Ohio State as the 4. So I think Clemson will beat Notre Dame. Trevor Lawrence might just be too much for the Notre Dame defense. And, that's what I think. I don't think Texas A&M has a shot. Ohio State is nowhere near as good as Texas A&M, in my opinion. And then after that, I don't know. I don't think any of those other teams, even like Florida, doesn't have a chance anymore, I feel like. So those are my big 4. Those are my 4. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State.
Yeah, I think I'm in complete agreement with you on that one. I think Florida's going to get smacked. I think Iowa State, even if they do win, I don't see them getting in. I think Notre Dame is going to drop a game. If Clemson drops the game to Notre Dame, that is when it gets very interesting. and figuring out, do we put Texas A&M in there then? They're a one-loss team compared to Clemson, who has 2 losses to Notre Dame. That's going to make it interesting, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Clemson is going to beat Notre Dame, and I hope this happens. I think if Notre Dame loses and Ohio State gets undefeated, Ohio State probably leaps ND to number 3. Notre Dame falls to number 4. I think Bama's going to take 1 outright, and Clemson might take number 2. If that happens, I'm a little bit worried, because if we get a 2-3 Notre Dame Clemson again, we get to see round 3 of Notre Dame Clemson in the CFP. And if that happened, I'd be so happy, but more than likely, I think it's going to be number 1 Alabama, number 2 Clemson. I think they're going to give number 3 to Ohio State with their undefeated 6-0 season, and then number 4 Notre Dame. And Caedmon brings up confident game USC. Yeah, USC's. Yeah, if USC drops a game to Oregon, that would be the most Pac-12 thing to happen. Porter Drake says he likes the pick, but what if Florida wins? They're going to bounce back, and Northwestern wins. What do you think, Caedmon?
If Florida and Northwestern win, then Texas A&M moves up, I think, into that slot, and not Florida.
Interesting. 1-loss Texas A&M, even though
because
Bama's
Alabama incredibly has. I mean, they're one team, but they haven't had. Yeah, I mean, they've had a hard schedule, and so 1 loss is it's college football, so it's definitely not as much expected as the NFL, where you see no teams go undefeated since like 2007 with the Patriots.
Yeah.
But you can expect to see a loss, and that's normal. If Alabama loses to Florida, I still don't see Florida making it, just because Florida's lost before, and Alabama's proved they can be unbeaten, so maybe they're just kind of resting. I don't know. I don't see any way that Florida wins, though.
Yeah. What about the second half, Northwestern? What do you think? If they, Miracle Boys, beat Ohio State?
Oh, Northwestern. If Northwestern beats Ohio State, I think you put Texas A&M in there. But I honestly don't see Ohio State losing, because they have, even though Northwestern has one of the best defenses, Ohio State's offense is just way better. And so I think, even though it's not going to be as high a scoring game as we sometimes see from Ohio State, I think we're still going to see a high scoring game, and Northwestern's defense will just be on the field so much, and they're going to get tired out so fast.
If Florida wins, I don't think they get in. There's never in the entire history of the CFP been a 2-loss team to make it in. I don't think that's going to start now. And with Northwestern, I would love it if they made it in, but I don't think they will. We already see what the CFP thinks of them. They're sitting at 14 right now. Even if they do win, I think that hurdles them all the way up to maybe 6. They get a good New Year's 6 bowl, maybe against Cincinnati. But after that, I think you slide Texas A&M in there. Alabama's going to be a 1-loss team, and they're so great. I think they're going to go in. Florida, I think you slot. That's going to make it interesting, because then A&M would have lost to Bama but beaten Florida, and Florida would have lost to A&M but beaten Alabama, and it just makes – that's going to be mind-boggling to see what's going to happen on Sunday. And no matter what, some college football fans are going to be angry. But I don't think Florida's going to make it in. I think Bama's going to win. Even if Florida does win, I don't think they make it in as a 2-loss team. And if Northwestern wins, if Northwestern wins, there's obviously going to be people trying to make a case for Cincinnati or Iowa State. I don't think Northwestern's going to get in with that loss to Michigan State. If they did, it'd be crazy, and I'd love it. Man, that's going to make it. If Northwestern won, that is a good question, because then Ohio State's no longer unbeaten. They've played a shortened season. Do you put A&M in? I think A&M in goes in if Northwestern wins. If Northwestern wins, they'll say A&M wins. If Florida goes in, I think things stay the same.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to wrap us up. Unless you got anything else. Yeah, go ahead.
Just one more thing. We were talking about the selection committee. I think this year, especially, what they're looking for is a spectacular offense with a defense that can keep up with the offenses with the non-spectacular offenses. You know what I mean? So obviously you're not going to expect a defense to keep up with Alabama,
right?
But you want it to be able to keep up with like Wisconsin this year, or something like that. And so while Northwestern had the incredible defense, their offense wasn't there, which I think is why they weren't ranked higher, obviously. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting. It will be fun. Championship weekend, everybody. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap us up. Unless you've got anything else, I think we're going to hit him with a verse, Cade.
All right, AJ. Hey, today, AJ is giving us the verse. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, here, AJ, you do the duty of reading it. I'll explain it today.
All right, Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you.
Yeah, beautiful verse. AJ? It's my favorite one. Don't really know if there's anything else to say. It's just something I've committed to memory, and it's really special to know that God will never leave you nor forsake you, and that's really important to me. And that's the reason it's my favorite Bible verse, and it's in my brain, in my heart. Yeah, that's about it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and especially Sebastian Cornwell and our man Brett D and our man Porter Drinks, our resident Indiana Hoosiers fan. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Porter Drinks also love the Lord. Amen, brother. Thanks, guys. Signing off. We're going to sign off as well. Have a good day, night, week, month, however, wherever, whenever you're watching this. Hope you're having a good one. Caedmon shilling out for our content. Hit the subscribe button, notification, ring that bell, and be sure to tell other people about the Allied Rivals podcast. Let us know what else you guys want to talk about. We'll absolutely be talking about college football after the CFP committee and the NFL as we get closer to the playoffs. We will see you guys next time on the Allied Rivals podcast. Catch you later, everyone.
See ya.